I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, you know her as one of the most iconic people in the world of goalkeeping podcasting. That's right, the one and only Saskia Webber. What is up? And joining us, honestly, somebody who, honestly, like, Devon, we were Saskia and I, we were talking about this earlier, is that all of you young players understand you guys are doing, oh, okay, fine. I'll do it better. Fine. Devon Kerr, Washington Spirit goalkeeper. But I was trying to give her like a fancy intro. I was going to be like, you all know like your brand. You guys are so good at like marketing yourselves and like representing the game and everything like that. Just shout out to you. Just great job with the website, your social media, and honestly, the work you're doing. We've been talking to Ian, you know, obviously at the club and everything like that. And he just says you're coming along so well. So thanks for coming on the show. We're really excited to have you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to finally be on here. Yeah. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah. Everything's a new age with the social media is kind of just how you drive your own personal brand nowadays. So gotta get good at that type of stuff.
I mean, I'm working on it, Mike. Just shut up. I'm working on it.
You're doing good. You're doing good, Saskia. You got your Twitter going now. You know, Instagram, you've been going full swing with all of that. You know, we got some training footage coming up very soon from UCLA. That's exciting stuff. So yeah.
With drones, all sorts of crazy stuff.
Oh, wait, that's cool.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, that's actually, I'm honestly really excited to see that, you know, how high tech they went with all the production value and all that stuff. So like those sessions are going to be really exciting. So it's totally worth the time away from with the coronavirus and all that stuff to be able to get these awesome sessions. Everyone's going to see all this work that you guys have been putting in during kind of like this for quote lack of a better term, like, you know, extra spring season, I guess you could kind of call it, would be a good way.
Yeah.
I think it's actually awesome. Like Devon, we'll get onto the topic, but like, you know, with like walking in as a freshman to OSU and stuff like that, like 2 weeks later you start season, you know, and I think it's kind of like a gift in a weird way. Like, you know, obviously we don't have any games. So my freshman goalkeeper that's come in and everybody else, the freshmen that have come in, like all 100 of them, they get to get caught up on speed, like, and because it is a massive transition. And so I'm like, this is actually kind of a gift, you know?
Oh yeah. It really is. Because honestly, when you come into college, Coach Walker did it well, where we always came in early to Ohio State. So it was like, we came in so to give us like that transitional period, because nothing was going to be smooth sailing right away. And it kind of gave us that buffer to work through and get to know things and get to know around the campus and the schedule and how practices are going to go and blah, 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 blah. So having that right now, obviously it's unfortunate for, you know, say the seniors and stuff that have missed out on what was normal for them. But for the freshmen coming in, oh my gosh, it is like, it'll help you really get your feet underneath you and get to like understand your bearings before you literally feel overwhelmed with stress and pressure of everything college.
Absolutely. Because imagine like if with us on quarter systems and stuff, you're coming in. So technically like school doesn't start for like, you would have already been into season. So then all of a sudden you like come in 2 weeks later, we start season, and then all of a sudden school starts. So like, it's like, you know, now they kind of get to kind of ease into all of that. So it'll be really interesting to see like how things are different in the spring when we start a regular season and everything. And Coach Walker, hi Lori, what's going on? That is Goalkeeper family and Union right there that we grew up playing against each other.
The love.
I was on the phone with her a couple months ago, so yes.
Really? Yeah, her and I still chit chat, text a lot, but haven't gotten on a phone call with her in a little bit. But she's been definitely, I know, struggling with this whole thing. She loves having everything put together and organized and specific. So I knew that she was going to be kind of driving up the wall with this whole change.
I kind of want to get into that really quickly, Devon, with you before we kind of get into today's topic, you know, for maybe some people who might not be familiar with your journey and everything like that. I think one of the really cool things, and we always stress this on the show, Saskia is a very big proponent of this, is that you took some time, you know, you spent time with Houston Dash, obviously, you know, learning under Jane Campbell, you know, shout out to Jane. Congratulations as well to her and Aubrey both on the women's national team call-ups. Those are huge for both of them. But after that, you went to France. and you went out there and you experienced, playing outside of your comfort zone, if for a lack of a better term. Do you feel kind of like that time period over there has really helped prepare you to come back to NWSL?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, my whole scenario, because people, since I've been here, they're like, wait, weren't you in France like 5 minutes ago? And I'm like, oh, no, soccer world's weird. I'm here one day, here the next, like all over the place. But no, with Houston was great. Obviously, training underneath Jane was incredible. She is, the work environment, coming to practice every single day with her was awesome. She held me to high standards. I held her to standards. Like, we were very good back and forth with each other training, and off the field too. Like, that was even better. She's just such a quality human being and so funny. And we had a lot of fun off the field, but that environment was great. I did my season at Houston. Everything was going really well. And then I decided, kind of like just wanted to go overseas, and I got an opportunity with a low team in the Division 1 in France. So I said, you know what, I'm going to try to go overseas. I'm going to ask Houston to waive me just to see if I can go over there and get some game experience. So that happened. I asked them to waive me. I got waived. I headed over to France. It was just, I got there and it was kind of visa problems immediately. I had already missed, I only signed on a 6-month contract. I already missed 5 games because my visa wasn't going through there. I wasn't there for a very long time. So that stuff wasn't happening quickly. So that was getting a little frustrating. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here and I'm not really doing anything. I'm not even allowed to go to the games, blah, blah, blah. So, and then there was other issues with just coming from the NWSL to, maybe a lower level team in France was tough because the training environment, just honestly, like the safety of it, not even the professionalism necessarily, but more even just like the basic safety. Those things were very, there's big differences between that. The professionalism, they tried obviously very hard. I think they did the best they could with their circumstances, but they weren't given a lot to work with. So that was a little bit tough for me too. I know there's the grind and you should just appreciate the grind, but there was just specific things that, I really was used to in my kind of like schedule and way of being that wasn't there. So that was kind of tough for me too. So, I decided, okay, the coach and I were very friendly with each other. She's from Canada as well. So I just said, I think I just want to head back home. This is just like kind of not what I pictured. And then that's when the Spirit reached out to me and wanted to sign me right away. So I also didn't know that they wanted me last year, and they tried to get me last year, but that it just didn't work out for other reasons. So yeah, I think it was almost like it finally ended up happening the way it was supposed to. I got my way here eventually, and it's been, oh my gosh, so great. So that's kind of just like the shorter long story of just my process through Houston, France, and now here. Yeah.
I mean, it is a fascinating thing. And I know one of the things that, and we've even spoken about it, on this show is just, the professional. And obviously Saskia doesn't have to say it. I mean, she's a co-owner in the league, the professionalism of the league, and it's such a next level. And I think, the fact that you as a younger player, appreciate that, because, obviously the generation such as Saskia's generation, like they tried to, let that kind of settle that foundation so that you all had that environment, so that you didn't have to deal with a lack of professionalism or a lack of resources.
We made our mistakes. Let's put it that way. Well, I didn't.
I was perfect, really.
I was fine. I wasn't signing the checks.
Let's get a little bit into today's topic. Today's topic, and Devon, this is actually something that you suggested, is you want to talk about kind of like the expectations and the training habits of a backup goalkeeper, and and a lot of times the word backup goalkeeper is used in a derogatory way, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is there's different types of environments, different types of backups, and different types of things that you're trying to get out of that situation. So kind of first off, kind of before we get into it, there's a lot of parents that sometimes listen to the show. They might not be familiar with what we mean when we say a 2 or a 3 or anything like that. Why don't you kind of break down what we mean by those types of terminology?
Yeah. So like when you hear backup goalkeeper and stuff like that, I know actually I used to even think that when I was younger, like backup, like I don't want to be a backup. Like that's such a dirty word kind of thing. Like I'm the backup goalkeeper, but basically a backup and a number two is like, you have your first string goalkeeper that is going to get the minutes, is going to be that goalkeeper that you are relying on in games, and your backup is literally the exact same thing, just minus the minutes of a game. That's like kind of how the best I could explain it. They're training the exact same. They're doing everything the first string goalkeeper is doing. They are analyzing film, even though they're not in any of the film. They are analyzing set plays, set pieces, what their players should be doing and when. Literally every single thing that the first string goalkeeper is expected to do and execute on game day and during games and practice, your number two and even your number three are supposed to be mirroring and doing and executing and making sure that they have it ingrained in their memory, because worst case scenario, that number one goalkeeper gets hurt, gets a red card, maybe is in a slump and needs a break for a minute from the game so she can get back out of it and come back in fresh. Like, it is your job now to go in and execute everything properly, and obviously with your own flair and style to it. You're not expected to be a carbon copy, you know, of your number one, but you're supposed to bring the same level of professionalism and everything to the game that you're expected to do. So that's how I best would say it. And, you know, backup number two, you're not going to be on the pitch, but you're required and obviously expected to be able to execute everything that the first string goalkeeper is doing.
I mean, I think you just put that so eloquently right there, you know, and also in regards to, like, we talk about this all the time in regards to the depth of the league, you know, the difference between the 1, 2, and the 3, and heck, even a 4 training keeper, you know, is sometimes so minuscule. And Saskia, obviously you're familiar with this, you know.
I was waiting for this. I was like, how's he gonna bring this up? Yes, the queen backup goalkeeper for 10 years behind Bry. Yes, I know.
Goalkeepers, it's the position, man. It is the position.
Look, I love everything you just said, and that's the truth. And I'll add one more thing to it, that your job is also to challenge that number one, to constantly remain number one. Yeah. And that person challenges you as well. And so in some areas, and to be honest, at certain levels in most coaches' minds, there's really no difference between 1 and 2, and it is the minutes, and it is the experience, and it is the games. And that's kind of like, it's kind of a catch-22 in a sense, because it's like, okay, well, you know, she's going to play because she's played, but you're like,
and then how does it work for,
how does it work for you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've been rostered for over 200 and something games.
It's just that one opportunity,
rostered, but not rostered, you know? So, you know, but the experience is there, and the experience, you're 100% right. You're there to, and in a weird way, whether it's more stressful or difficult, like, could be like argued, because you, like, in that moment, if that player goes down, you are expected to step up without those minutes, without everything, just with a lot of practice time, and just be able to keep it rolling, keep the same composure, everything like that.
Yeah, it's just what you're expected to do. And and you're used to it, and you kind of just take all the emotion out of it, all of the silly, like, because, you know, I was a starter for the Canadian youth national team at a World Cup. I was starter for college. I have been a starter. So when it came to, you know, humbling myself and understanding that it's not any type of slight on, like, my ability as a goalkeeper, it's much greater than that. And when you just, you know, remove your emotion and, you know, you're analyzing, like, it practically and understanding, like, what my situation is, and that my job is to, you know, push my starting keeper as high as she can go and learn things from her. She'll learn from me. Like, constantly nipping at each other's heels. And you never want a starting keeper to feel just complacent. That's like the worst thing
totally
ever.
Secure. And the thing about Brian and I was, I think the reason we were always together was because we trained so well together, and we pushed each other so much, and we have so much respect for each other. But then you see those goalkeepers that even take a starting goalkeeper. Oh my God, I think you could read between the lines. Even take a starting goalkeeper and switch them. Maybe they're not playing that well. Maybe they're not having a great tournament. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? You know, I'm going to start Saskia or something like that. So what is that starting keeper's reaction going to be to that? When you, as the backup keeper, or as Jill likes to say, game changer, which I love that, come in and you get to start and all those games you're sitting there just like, yeah, what can I do? Pump your team up, pump your goalkeeper up and stuff. And now you've got somebody sitting on a piss pot on the corner of the bench
that is absolutely not happy.
That's not happy, and that's resonating through the entire team. Because I'm sorry, you finally didn't get to start. Like, is that's not.
You're right about that. It's a very what's the word? Double standard almost, I guess, with that whole thing.
You have to be just as proud.
Happy-go-lucky all the time, just constantly.
But you have to be just as supportive.
For the team. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bigger than you. Yeah. And so what any keeper that does that, and parents out there, if you have a starting keeper that maybe sits the bench for a game and they want to kick and scream and yell, like, that's character right there. You know, what the character is, that other person that's playing right now has supported you this entire time. Yeah. And so where's your character? And it's not about you, it's about the team.
Exactly. So, that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Yeah, especially with young people. Yeah. Go on. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
We can go on that forever.
No. I mean, I was going to say, you know, one of the biggest mistakes I made is that when I came into college, I was like, what is this? I'm not going to be playing. And it, like, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, that guy's like, in my mind, I was so immature. I'm like, that guy's not that good.
I'm better.
You know, and in reality, he was better than me. But like, you know, you're so full of yourself, like at 18 years old, at least I was, because I was an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And
but you're so used to everybody patting you on the head and clapping for you and stuff.
Blowing smoke, you know.
I'll be straight up honest. I don't think I have anything special as a goalkeeper as I got to the higher levels, but at the youth level, like it wasn't that hard for me. Like it came easily, and I know that sounds kind of, you know,
no, but that doesn't. To say that, but you have to also look at the quality that you're playing against.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying anything bad about the field players, but you know,
but if you've reached that level faster than other people have, and
exactly.
Exactly.
You're coming from different leagues. The players might be that great, so you're the greatest player in the league. Awesome. Well, welcome to Ohio State University.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and it was the first time I'd ever faced guys with like.
Every single person on that team was the best on their club team.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of the craziest thing. And, you know, I'm glad that, Saskia, you brought that up back to the youth tip here, because that's obviously a lot of youth, you know, parents, goalkeepers, and coaches that are listening to this right now or watching, is that, you know, the maturation fact is like when you're talking about even a senior, you know, on the men's side, at least. I mean, I'd never faced anybody with a beard before. Like, I was like, what is this? Like, there's like some dad out there shooting on me that's very good, you know. So it was kind of an adjustment period, but you know, kind of bringing it back to kind of like the training habits and everything, Devon. And I do want to show some training footage of you in a bit, because by the way, shout out to Ian. I mean, what sessions, man? Those are.
Oh my God, he gets sheer joy about just lacing a ball off of whatever part of my body he finds. Like, he will just kick it 100 miles an hour and
it's cathartic.
Yeah.
It's cathartic for us coaches.
It's awesome.
Mike's, how's your day going? It's horrible, but I get to go shoot balls at children. I'm so excited. I'll be fine afterwards.
Yeah.
He's great.
That was like
Ian's great.
Dev, like yesterday we were having this horrible Wi-Fi issues. It was such a disaster. We couldn't stream and everything like that.
Oh no.
Man, it was bad. And I was in such a bad mood. And then when I went out to the field and I was training this poor like 14-year-old kid, he's all gangly, he's like 6'2" and stuff like that. And like
I'm just taking it out on him.
You just abused him.
God. Well, because the thing is, like, and he's also like tall already, and he looks older and
whatever.
stuff. So I was, like,
you were just getting it out.
I was just getting it out.
Nothing to do with him. Let's see this footage.
I was getting it out. All right. Oh, should we show some of the screen?
Yeah.
All right. Sure. All right. Let's pull some of this stuff out here. Let me find.
I will say I've had people like that don't get it, and so Devon, I have a lot of respect, obviously, from the queen number 2 in history. I've had field players that have come up to me, and like one time one of them was getting cut from pro team and came up to me after cuts were made and got in my face and was just like, whatever, like I will never do what you're doing. I have no respect for you. You've spent your entire life as number 2, blah, blah, blah. like, you know what I mean? Like that angst and that like not understanding. And I just, I looked at them just as like, there's such a bigger picture. It's not just that.
Look at that touch. Oh, look at that.
Sorry.
No.
Rewind.
I want to kind of go through this entire period, Dev, because I kind of want you to, kind of break down this film right here. But what it looks like, what I really loved about this is your recovery movements. You treated it like it was actually the game. And as Saskia was talking about, like when you're a backup goalkeeper, every rep at training is the game to you. So if you don't treat it like you're in the game, you're not getting the most out of your training, because chances are you're not going to get those reps come game day. So this is the only way you're going to keep building that muscle memory of those reps, those reps. So I kind of want to kind of walk through this right here. Look at those mannequins.
I love the upshot.
Look at that touch, but then recovery, set. This is what I love here. Recovery.
Boom.
And back off the 3 in a row.
And then last
it's still on your feet. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. We have to watch that again.
Did he get like in a fight that day with
this save sequence was only supposed to be catch, dive, save. That was it. It's supposed to be 3 and done. And he added another 3. And I know I gave up the rebound, but usually he never. But you just got to play it till it's dead anyway.
Absolutely. So. I love it.
Clean handle. Oh, touch that over.
I love that touch.
Reset. Shot. Well, it's in space.
I'm not done. I'm not done. And again.
But I want kids to see that though, because the thing is that there's the chase there. There's the chase. Yeah. There's that. It's not over. And like, even if I didn't make it all the way up in my recovery, I still have to make the play, because that's what you're going to have to do in the game. You know, so like you gotta play through. You gotta play through it like that. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. This save got posted on. I'm from Canada, so it got Canada. So it got posted on the Sportsnet there. So the Sports Center of Canada, I guess, whatever. And some people, immediate trolls saying, "Oh, that's not even hard." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, obviously I'm not going to argue with you, because whatever, but the technicalness of those types of saves are very difficult for keepers. People think it's just hitting you or whatever, but it's like you have to be, brave enough to get your hands up. You have to time to get your hands up. You have to be putting your body forward. You have to be angling yourself a certain way. There's so many intricacies of it that people don't understand.
Yeah, he's not just hitting you. You're getting back up. You're getting square. Your body weight's forward and everything. So you're making that big like target for him, so he doesn't have a choice. And we talked about this like a month ago. I love the bottom hand save. I don't care, keep it out of the net, because you have those trolls that are like, that's supposed to be a top hand save. I'm like, dude, it's out of the net. It was going in the upper 90 and it's
so and like, it is flicked out. Don't worry about it. It's not going in.
I'm fine with it.
No, it was
I was gonna say this, by the way, the fact that training footage made it to like the top 10 of like Canadian Sports Center, that's pretty next level. But I like, in regards to the chase, because I think the thing is that like, just like, we were talking with, Brittany Wilson, was it last week or the week before, who's got Ashlyn Harris in front of her, is like, I mean, you have Aubrey Bledsoe there. That's what Aubrey would do. And so like, you can't expect anything less of yourself, and Ian can't expect anything less of you to play like that. So how great a role model to have somebody when you have a number 1 in front of you that plays like that, not only in the games, but in training. Does that motivate you? Because like Ty Ducart right here, he's got a question in regards to like
Ty.
Yeah.
I coached her.
Oh, no way.
In Canada. Hi, Ty.
Hey, Ty. She wants to know,
cool.
This is the best sequence of saves ever made.
Oh, sweetie. Thanks, Ty.
But she
gotta love those Canadians.
but she wants to ask you in regards to like getting over the obstacle of not playing. Like how do you get past that initially? Because like you were saying, coming from a high level collegiate environment, finally into the pro environment, and you're not playing right away, like that's such a big change. Like, how do you deal with that mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I think with me, it came down to like, every number 1, whether you like it or not, unless you have the most straight lined success story in human history, every number 1 is going to have to be a number 2 at some point in their career. And I feel like that's a really important thing to remember, for myself, but even more importantly for youth. And like when they're coming up through the ranks of, club soccer to national team, provincial team, state team, whatever it may be. Because, for example, a number one at a club team level may be a 3 or a 5 at a national team level. And, it just depends on that. So I feel like it's kind of just like a part of the journey. And sometimes there's going to be like factors that alter your journey, and like no journey is ever just going to be kind of like the same as another person's, or straight shooting and just very easy and whatever. So it's kind of just what you can control with your actions and your emotions and how you react to those types of situations. And I think the best thing is just trying to keep a cool and collective head about all those things, because you're not going to be able to argue and change with what a coach's decision is. You're not going to be able to, try to vouch for yourself that you're better. The only thing you can control is what you do in training, what you do when you're given those opportunities to show yourself, and how well you execute them. So, if you don't agree with the choice being made, okay, well then make it almost a no-brainer. And that way, there's more room for questioning if you're not, being that starting goalkeeper. But if it is based off, that's more for youth side. But when it comes to, my position now, it's like I'm a very good goalkeeper. I have good skills. I'm it's not that I'm just so much less than obs. It's just like we've said before, it's that she's the experienced goalkeeper. She's our number one. She's got national team experience. She is a great leader on the field. She has certain characteristics about her that captivate our team and make our team feel awesome. So it's those things that I have as well, but looking up to her and learning them and like perfecting them by watching her has just been like so great. And eventually my time will come, and I'm okay with that, because I'm ready for when my time comes, and I'm ready to take over. And whenever they need me, if she's gone with national team stuff or whatever it may be, like I'm ready to take that spot, make our team be successful as possible. And it's just, the biggest thing is just taking the emotion out of it, and the pity or personal, you think it's like something personal against you. It's never personal against you. It's not. It's past that at that point.
You're absolutely right. And I think some of the strengths that you can grab from are the respect that you have from your teammates. Mm-hmm. That your teammates don't look at anything being different, that your teammates respect everything you do in practice as much as they respect the starters, and that you bring it, and that you make that, if there is a difference between you and the starter, it's so minimal that maybe only your coach sees it. That's how you go with it. And then after that, you just give as much as a teammate as you possibly can. And although taking the personal emotion out, it's personal emotion. Damn it, I wanted to play, but it's like, it's not about you. It's about your country. It's about your team and everything like that. But if you bring that every day, your teammates will see it. And if you get their respect, like that goes, like, I could tell you multiple stories about conversations with like Brandy or Carla or Mia or stuff about just like Christine, especially. I have a great story about that. But just the respect of what I brought, even though I was number two, like, and that meant the world to me, because that was. And
no, it's so true. And just like, good, regardless of if something positive happens to you, like you end up getting to start or whatever it may be, it's like if you're busting your butt every day in training, giving your all, helping your teammates, being a good teammate, being a competitive teammate, bringing that grit and that energy and that fire to training, like you're not getting that result of being a starting goalkeeper, you're still strengthening your squad as a whole because of that energy you're bringing. You're making your team better. You're going to help your team succeed more, even though you're not on the field. The work you've done not on the game field is so comparable to that of a starting goalkeeper, because you're doing everything behind the scenes that's preparing your team, your goalkeeper, everybody to have that that result. So it's very important, the role of a a keeper that's not getting a lot of minutes. It's really, really important.
And you want your team to look at it the same way as if a sub came in. So Shannon McMillan comes in. You know, you don't, you know, she was such a hardcore player and so intense. Like she comes in second half against Germany. Like nobody went, oh damn, so-and-so's going out. It's sweet. Like Shannon's coming in. Like, so you know, and granted, first touch on the ball was joy, head, goal. And so, but the point is that what you do in practice and the person you are, to Ty and to anybody else that looking, like you don't want to create a rift where like your team feels that the level dropped because you're playing the game. You want to make sure that you are just that it's there. You know what I mean? So that if you're starting, all right, Saskia's starting or Rye's starting or whatever, you know?
But by the way, I do want to get back to training habits and everything.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Like a deep conversation.
I do want to share one thing in regards to from the mentality standpoint, Saskia, where you said, you know, like you don't want the team to feel like, you know, one of the biggest mistakes that I think I made, you know, as a younger player trying to, you know, play at the higher level after college is that, you know, I got in my head about like, okay, well, now I'm coming into this game, like I have to be that person as opposed to just being me and just being confident in my ability, you know, type of thing. And I think Devon, you said that, right? Or like, you know, my profile might be different than Aubrey's. So I can't go out there and expect to be Aubrey Bledsoe. I have to go out there and be the best Devon Kerr I can be, you know, and my team should expect that.
You're only human to admit to this. And we can bring up Franch as an example.
Yeah.
Okay. That moment and not having a good game or giving up a bad goal, it weighs on you like nobody can imagine because you only get a certain amount of looks. And if something happens, and sometimes you make the mistake and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's an upper 90 by Norway and there, you know, I had to be on a ladder to save, but at the same time, I've lived with it my entire life because I only got certain moments.
Yeah.
So that is something that we all, as like second goalkeepers or whatever you want to call it, have to deal with because, you know, it's not like I'm going to play
like the comparison.
It's like, oh, we got her in and she let up this weak goal.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's bigger than that, you know. It's so much bigger than that. It's not that, oh yeah, okay, if we're looking at it statistically, okay, and I know one mistake within 10 minutes, but you know.
But my point being is that I'm taking this more human in the sense we do beat ourselves up about it. Like I did.
No, you're completely right with that. Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying, oh well, whatever, you know.
No, you know, there's no like if, ands, or like buts about it as much as, you know, people will tell you, okay, that's okay. It wasn't a big, we're still going to get so upset with ourselves and beat ourselves up about that because it was our one chance.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll give an example right now here. And again, I didn't play at the level of you guys did, but when I was on a pro trial with a specific team, they finally gave me some run in a game. I go into the game, it was a preseason match, and within the first 5 minutes, I gave up a goal through my legs. I can still remember it to this day.
Isn't that amazing? We always remember. I can say every goal I've been scored on the national team, and if you ask me saves, I probably couldn't tell you a single one.
So,
same. You don't remember the saves.
Absolutely,
you do not remember the saves.
But I was released the week later, and for the longest time, I just kept telling myself it was because of that moment.
Right.
But it wasn't that moment that led to my release. I was just putting that pressure on myself to lead. It was my energy. It was the profile. It was how I conducted myself after that goal that probably led to my release because I shut down. I was sloppy, all of that. So they go, oh, he can't play at this level. He clearly can't play. It's one thing to be great at training, and I was doing great at training. And then it's like another thing to get into a real competitive matchup against guys who are playing in Europe and all that sort of stuff. And it's just, it was a different thing. I want to talk about training film a little bit, Devon. I want to talk about how you approach game film, because obviously you're in these sessions, you're watching the game film of the number one. It's a very different animal than when that's you on the screen right there. So how do you approach that?
Yeah, game film has been, luckily we've actually had not a normal season, but we've had the fall series, which we just finished actually. And we had the Challenge Cup. So we had a lot of chances to watch film, go over film, things like that. And, as the second keeper, I'm involved in every single film session, regardless of, they don't even tell me, I just know. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. Like, I'm going, I'm watching everything. I'm making sure I'm up to speed on every single thing that's happening. And, if it's specifically Aubrey related clips, I'm watching them and semi imagining myself in that same situation, not maybe doing the same thing, but like imagining myself in that situation and what I would do in that situation. Obviously, it could be very different in the game, like her, because she now thinks the same way I'm thinking after the game, but in the game, it could be different. So I kind of do that. I try to imagine myself in her situation. And then obviously I'll listen to her feedback to our coach on what she thinks she should do. I'll sometimes have different opinions. So that's also great, because I have different opinions and I sometimes can give her a little bit of like my 2 cents of how I feel about things. And she asks for it a lot. She'll, even in training, she'll be like, was I too far in my post here? Was I here on this shot here? Was I set too far? Like, were my feet still moving? Blah, blah, blah. And she asks for that advice because, you think it's Aubrey Bledsoe. Like, she's, this great goalkeeper, but it's like, she still asks us for help. She asks us for visual criticisms, things like that. Like, we're still very helpful with each other in those things. So film's a great opportunity to work on that together, and for me to stay very, very up to speed on specifics in the game that she's faced with, that I need to know exactly how to handle them if it comes to my time to play in goal. And then also when it comes to not even goalkeeping stuff, when it comes to field player movements and understanding breakdowns on goals, and maybe what happened in that situation where that player somehow got broken through our back line. Like, does that come down to communication? No, Aubrey was talking to them. Does that come down to something else? Like, yeah, maybe. So it's all breakdowns of everything that you need to understand, like the intricacies of it. Also, like set plays and like free kicks and corner kick setups. I need to know exactly who is supposed to be where in every one of those situations. And as soon as a sub goes in, when I'm on the bench, I have to go back and look at the booklet again to make sure, okay, that's what this player is doing on that. Just in case something happens, I have to go in. I'm not looking like a deer in headlights, wondering where someone's going to go, and then they score on me because of it. So I think the biggest thing with all of that is just like, being prepared. As like, I treat it as being as prepared as possible. And some people can say, yeah, it's tough for second strings because they go to film and it's so boring. Like, what does it have to do with you? It doesn't have anything to do with you. And it's like, okay, everything. You could think it has everything to do with you. You could think of it that way if you want, but then you're probably not in the right level of play if that's the way you're going to think about it. Mindset. You need to be thinking of it of, what if I'm in that situation, or putting yourself in the situation. It's equally, if not more important for a second string than a first string, because the first string, she's been doing it this whole time. She knows, blah, blah, blah. It's the second goalkeeper that's going to go in that if they don't know it, they're going to mess things up pretty badly, and it could lead to a goal. So, you just always have to be clicked in and turned on for all of our film sessions. And, it's great. We're very analytical with everything. So it's been really good to have those resources. It's crazy what we have now too, with what like the animations and things you can do. It's nuts.
It's crazy what they have. No, and I agree with that 100%. I think the way you have to look at, you can't look at it like it's Aubrey making a mistake. What would I do different? It's the whole gamut of it. It's like, where was the breakdown from the field players? Like, maybe she was too far near post. And I don't think I've ever looked at film like, oh, that was Bry making a mistake. What would I do different? It was like, all right, it's kind of like a detached like thought process. It's just like, okay, the goalkeeper in a sense was too far near post. Like, it's not like, oh, the first string goalkeeper was too far near post. I would do it like, you're just looking at how the situation was handled and how everybody can handle it differently. And
it's like a very stepped back
exactly
way of looking at it.
You're not like, oh, she did that, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I guess some people are like that, but
it's not ever a direct, oh, she messed up. No,
there's never a direct comparison.
No.
Yeah, it's just kind of the situation. Where did this all break down? And the bigger thing is to look at where it broke down from the field players.
Because it's usually not the goalkeeper, unless it, we'll know when it is the goalkeeper's fault, but it's usually still never single-handedly, it's going to break down way further up the field, wherever it is. So that's where you need to pinpoint it. Yeah, you're right. Completely.
Absolutely. Like, they're not going to show you getting the ball shot through your legs and us going to be like, well, I wouldn't let the ball through my legs. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to show that.
No.
Like, it has nothing. It was a screw up, and that won't happen again. So they're not gonna be like, Saskia, what would you do in this situation? Well, I wouldn't let the ball through my legs. Like nobody's gonna do that. We're gonna show breakdowns and how it breaks down defensively, on the offense, transition defensively, and you kind of step away from, in my opinion, whoever's in goal, and you just look at the situation as a whole.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up in regards to that tactical element of it, in regards to the development of the play, because I think you have to recognize this, regardless of who's in goal, like that's what you need to be watching for, because those are the cues, those are the little triggers that you need to see once you're in the game yourself. Because regardless of whether it was me in the goal or you, Devon, in the goal, or Saskia in the goal, it's going to be the same breakdown, because we had nothing to do with us in that regard.
Right. And it might be how you deal with the breakdown, but at the same time is like, you have to look at, was your back pushing, were you telling them to push them outside? Did they give the inside up? So your positioning was wrong. So now your near post is open. So there's so much more that goes into this. It's not about the who's in the goal. It's about an entire situation.
The entirety of the team. It's not ever just one. So I think that's the biggest thing from film that is always great, because it always looks so much different when you watch it back on film. Whatever it looks like in the game, it looks 10 times different when you watch it back on film. And it's always great because we get these big bird's eye views of everything that goes on. So you're like, okay, there was the goal, but now let's back it up 20 seconds. And then you can see, okay, missed tackle there. Okay.
Somebody not marking up,
not marking their man. Oh, someone marking zonally, not marking their man. Okay, not good. And then the goal happens. It's like, regardless of positioning of goalkeepers, whatever, that's a goalkeeper specific technical thing, but the goal itself was a breakdown of much greater than just a goalkeeper's technical, right?
I'm like, thank you. Yes. It's not so the final shot, you guys.
Nope.
There's a reason the shot got off.
I mean, it rarely comes down to that final action. One of the things that I want to talk about, Devon, is that one of the mistakes I think that a lot of young goalkeeper coaches make, especially a lot of, young collegiate coaches, is that they go to their number 2 or number 3. Oh, see, so that's what you need to do in this situation, is you need to blah, 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 or whatever. And I hear this all the time with younger coaches, or like, high school players or whatever, or club players will come up to me and they're like, well, my coach said when so-and-so did this, is like, if I was in the game, I should have done this too. And I always say to them, I say, you have to look at your own profile, and you have to look at your own strengths and weaknesses, because that I think is the biggest mistake that a young coach can do, is try to force you to play like Aubrey in that situation.
I agree, because it's like, you're telling kids at the youth level, like, goalkeeper A made a great save, and now you look at goalkeeper B and C and are like, you need to just know you need to do that when you go in the game. And it's like, well, what you're also doing to those players is, one, you're telling them that their skill, subliminally, that their skill level, you don't even trust their skill level enough that you just want them to be like that goalkeeper A. And 2, you're putting a lot of pressure on them that they feel like they need to be perfect and do exactly like goalkeeper A, which you don't know that, like, if goalkeeper B and C go into the game, they could bring their own type of crazy flair to the game and pull out insane stops and insane communication and great distribution that now you've actually like hindered, because you've made them feel a certain way, and now they don't feel comfortable like letting out who they truly feel to be. And I think that's like the biggest advice for younger kids, and especially coaches, but more younger kids, is that do not ever try to be like the goalkeeper in front of you. Do not, like, you can pull pieces that you like that they do, like if they hit a good ball, okay, watch what they do to hit that good ball, but you don't want to be mimicking them and trying so hard to specifically be the way they are. You have your own flair. You're there for a reason. You're on a team for a reason, because they saw something special in you. So just focus on that, and focusing on making your game as good as possible, and that's it.
No, absolutely. I saw that today in practice. Like, we talked about this yesterday with Jenny and stuff about Lauren's, like her distribution, how like she's got this crazy toolbox of like stuff she can do.
Yeah.
And so today we were doing some stuff, and one of my other goalkeepers was kind of trying to mimic what she does. and it was absolutely not working for her. And I was like, why are you doing this? Like, I was just like, first of all, it's like a really random thing, but like it's Lauren's thing. Like it's what she's got. She's got it perfected. I've never done it in my life before. It's this weird little,
like a non-conventional thing.
It's
that
like
works
totally
for her,
it's nothing. She's taught it to herself. I'm like, figure out your own wheelhouse and perfect it. I go, I didn't tell you that you had to kick every ball the same way Lauren does. I told you to take a half volley. That's all I told you to do. Like, you know, so figure out what's good for you and what works for you. I never said in a million years, look at what she's doing. Do it just like that. Absolutely not.
Exactly. Yeah. And that must have been some type of other coaching that in the years past before you that have been like,
I have to do what, I'm like absolutely
that way.
not.
And no, it's not like that anymore. You're feel free to be as creative as you want. Figure out as long as it's working, then great.
Absolutely.
It's one of the biggest mistakes, and not even just talking about just a backup role, but like when I was a younger coach starting out and everything like that, is like I would hop in the net to shadow and show the kids, you know, how I want them to play. And meanwhile, that dude's 6'4" and I'm, you know, 5'9". So that's not going to work because they're built completely differently than me. They move differently than me, you know, and I was I was getting frustrated because I'm like, why don't they do what I'm doing and everything like that? You know, I think, you know, you really need to really understand that you need to find what's going to be successful for somebody else and let them, I love what you're saying about the exploration and let them find out what works for them. You know, and in regards to a number two, like, I just don't think you're ever going to have a successful number two if you're trying to find somebody who plays exactly like your number one. You're never going to find that.
No, I look so much different than so much different than what I used to look like when I was younger. Like in college, I was a good goalkeeper in college. I had certain accolade, like I looked like this, but I'm so much more polished now, and there's so many things about me where I thought I was so good in college, and maybe in college I was, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's some things that I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do things that way? And it's like, that's all part of the learning process. You can't be
absolutely,
hard on yourself, but there's like certain technical things, there's certain shape things. Footwork is a huge thing. Like, why did I dive all the time in college and hurt my body for no reason? Oh, because I didn't want to move my feet, and now my hips are going to need replaced in 5 years. So here we go.
Don't even get me started.
But it's all
got some stories.
I love that. I was playing pro for New York, and we had this young, I'm not going to call names out. We had this young goalkeeper that came in and like, she was number 2, and she just wanted to prove herself. And, I'm like freaking 32 years old or something. And so she's like, coach, it's like, free play, whatever at the end. Can we do some power diving? And I'm just like, all right, I'm going in the training room to ice
realistically
down. Have fun with your power. I'm like, have fun with your power diving. I'm like,
enjoy your power diving.
I'm like, you'll learn eventually that
how often that happens in a game.
So I'm not gonna, like, at 32 years old, I'm not gonna go out there and power dive over a bunch of like hurdles and to prove that I can fly to the upper 90. To appease a 22-year-old that's trying to prove
her hyperactive mentality.
I'm like, it's called footwork, and I could probably take a couple steps and just catch that ball. So
if it's being served out of somebody's hand, which usually it is for power diving, because or whatever it may be, you're gonna move your feet. It's fine. That's so true though. Yeah,
it is. And I was just like, I'm not doing that anymore. Sorry. I don't have to do that anymore. I've already sowed my oats. Sorry.
Yeah, I've proved it. It's fine. I can dive. We can do it.
I can dive when I need to.
It's so funny. Maybe it's a Jersey thing, because I was on a conference call years back at a license course with Tim Howard, and they were asking, they're like, well, how often are you working on extension diving during your training sessions? He's like, I don't do. He's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, I'm not doing that. If like a younger guy wants to do that, like that's up to them. But like the goalkeeper coach knows what I need. And if I need to pull that out, I've done enough of that in my career that
I know how to do it.
Yeah.
We do it every once in a while here, like very not as much. And I'm pretty young. I'm 23, and then we have our other keeper, Katie. She's young too, and then Obbs is young, but she is also very smart. And we do these dives that over the pre-wrap that we have on these 2 poles, and I'm diving full extension because I do like enjoy to do it sometimes. It's fun. But then for her, she's like so fast with her feet that she'll just like hop over the rope and catch it. Like genius you are.
And in a couple of years when you're like 28, you'll be like jumping over that rope with your footwork too.
And I'm like, because I'm gonna go pick up my hip on the side of the field over there real quick.
Exactly.
That's why I never get mad at the kids when they figure that out. Like the kids with the quick feet, and like they
You're
just
like,
shuffle across and you hand. Yeah, you shuffle across and you caught the ball.
They're like, Coach, am I supposed to? I'm like, you could get there.
I'm like,
it doesn't matter how you do it. Is the ball in the goal? No.
You can stay on the feet. It's like, no, I know, but you said you want us to hit the ground right now. I'm like, yeah, but in the game, you know, based on the flight of that ball, like you would have stayed on your feet on that one. I'm like, yeah, deal with what's in front of you. Yeah.
Right. My favorite question with little kids when you're coaching them, are we diving for this drill? Are we going to be diving? I'm like, you do whatever you want to do to make sure the ball doesn't go in the back of the net. That's what you got to do.
I love with the girls right now, UCLA, like Kelly will like dive, and it's like, and now they have this saying, I think it came from Jenny, actually, I should have brought it up yesterday, but it's like, you know, the only person that thought that was nice was your mom, you know, like your parents in the stand. And so it's like they'll do some amazing dive and I'll just be like this. And I'll be standing there and like Sam and Amanda, and then be like, you know, those guys will be like, great save. And they'll turn to me. I'll be like,
goalkeepers always are like,
and then Kelly will be like, I could have just taken a step to my left and got the ball.
That's so funny. It's so true.
I'm like, you think so? I'm like, you just made that really difficult on yourself.
Or field players like, did you see how good that was? And all the keepers look at each other and we're like, where's the cameras? They were putting that on Sports Illustrated. That's what that was for.
There's nothing worse than like when some dude shows up on trial and like he's just like really explosive and he's really athletic and he's like doing all these crazy things and everything like that. And the field player's like, dude, we need to get that guy on the team. I'm like,
it's awesome.
I'm like, that guy's trash.
You're like,
that guy just gave up 10 corner kicks.
Yeah. It was his first touch. We don't know.
I'm like, everything was a rebound. He flew for it. I'm like, it was in his bubble. He jumped up, dove, and landed.
Yeah.
Step to the right. And caught the ball.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's some guys that I trained with that like if there was Instagram back then and like YouTube and everything like that, they would be that influencer guy who'd be flying around and stuff like that because they had
smiling at the camera at the same time.
Yeah, they had that on point.
Funny.
You guys brought up a really good point though, that I want to bring with both of you guys, and that is
that comes with age though. I know you're 23, but that comes with wisdom and age. You're like, I'm gonna save my hip.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, Devon, but like I think the biggest mistake I made, you know, as a backup and everything like that is I would try way too hard and overdo it at training. And it's like, dude, like no matter how hard I try, that doesn't change how, like, because I did 2 extra sprints, like that doesn't mean that I'm starting the next game. Like make sure that what you're doing is practical, logical, and that you're getting the most out of your session. Like, don't try to every single rep, look over your shoulder and see like, what is the coaching staff thinking? Cause like, I think that's the biggest mistake that a number 2 can make.
Yeah. I used to be guilty of it and I caught it pretty well. And even, there were some training sessions with the Spirit where I was doing really great the whole week. And then there was one session where I was like, you know what? I've been doing great the whole week, but today I'm going to do better. I'm going to just go, I'm going to do so much better, and trying to put this like pressure on myself to just like, it's good to want to do better every day, but it was almost this like, I need to just be like hyper and jumping and oh my gosh. And like, and all it did was actually, it made me, I don't know, because it honestly just made me stressed. I stopped catching the ball properly because I was so rigid and like, and jumpy, and I was moving my feet too much. So it was like, okay, I gotta calm down. Okay, I've been doing great this whole time. Why am I trying to change anything? Like, you don't need to just one day pull out this whole 10% better mentality. Just continuously have growth and you'll be fine. Not trying to just, I don't know, like
no, totally. Like if like kids out there and stuff like that, if you're looking over your shoulder and like, let's say practice ends and you're like out there and you're like, oh, I have to work on my distribution, so I'm going to take some long balls and kick. But the reason you're doing that is because I'm still standing on the field and you want me to see that you're the only goalkeeper out there doing the extra time.
Yep.
That to me, like, don't do this for me. Like, you're doing this for you. Like you should, if I find out that, tonight, like so-and-so that needs to work on, she was out there in the, this evening on the IM field working on that. I'm not there watching. Maybe I find out randomly. She's not telling me. She's doing that because she needs to improve. So you do these things because you need to improve. It's things you want to work on, not because I'm seeing you. It's not showboating. It's not like, so-and-so was on the field kicking for an hour yesterday, so I'm going to start her. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, even our head coach has said something great the other day in a film session. He was like, Richie was like, to one of our players, how many head coaches have you played for in your career or your lifetime? And she was like, club, college, was that? She's like 5 or 6. Yeah. And then he asked somebody else and they said, 5? And he goes, wrong, none. You played for none. And we were all like, whoa, mind blown. Like, wow. And he's like, you don't play for the coach. You don't play for me. You play for yourself. Like, you're not playing for me. Yeah, you're playing on this team, but you're playing for yourself. It's not about me. It's not about anything. It's for you. So that was kind of, you know, a good thing to hear, and just understanding that, you know, all these extra things you want to do to make yourself better. It's like, okay, fine, you can do it.
But to make eyes on yourself, that's a difference.
Yeah. Like if you want to do it in front of the coach because he's just there, but you want to do it, fine. But it's like, if you're just going to do it on your own too, like that's great. You don't feel the need to tell anybody. You're just trying to get better, because it's going to show in training. It's going to show all of your, it'll show in training. That's all that matters.
Like, I don't need to know you're doing it. I'm going to know when we go and do something in training, and all of a sudden there's something different, and all of a sudden
either you butcher it or you absolutely kill it. Like, then I'll know if you've been putting the work in.
Exactly. And not because I'm seeing it out of the corner of my eye, like it's because I can see it on the field. And
exactly.
100%. It's free.
Yeah, you can hit like 20 good long balls with no pressure on you at the end of training into a goal. Like, who cares? It's like, okay, do you have pressure on you now? Are you going to be able to accurately execute that? No. Yeah. Okay, then you still have some work to do, and it doesn't need to be in front of me hoping that it's gonna help you. Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, I want to bring up one of the things to all the young goalkeepers listening to this right now, is that coaches can tell your intentions when you approach them. Absolutely, you can read, body language. You can read like inflection in their voice. Like, you can tell like if someone, what somebody's intentions are when they're approaching you and be like, hey, do you have a set of balls I can hold on to, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, sure, you can take these. Or it's like, cool, or it's cool. I'm going to be over there and I'm going to be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, well, thank you for telling me that. That's
and
cool.
You start walking over there. You're like, I'm still walking over there. If you want.
Yeah. It's like, actually, I'm going to the gym. Like, oh God, what, like, and the kid's like, it's like, yeah, so I'm going to the gym right now. I'm going going to be working on blah, blah, blah. I'm like, awesome. Do your thing, dude. Do your thing.
You got to get the right reasons down.
Your success should be in silence. It's a silent thing. You don't need to be shouting it from the rooftop. The only people that, that are doing that are usually people that aren't having that success and are insecure about it and are looking for something else to help them, but they don't understand if they just simplify it and just do the work. It'll
understand
be way
the
better.
Reason why you're doing the work. You're not doing the work. You're not doing the work so I see that you're doing the work. You're doing the work so you get better. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One thing I want to bring up kind of before, as we start wrapping up right here, is I want to kind of bring up the relationship you should have with the rest of the team. Because that is something that's kind of an interesting dynamic. Is obviously you should have a strong relationship with your number one. If you don't, I'll be honest, like college, remember I was telling that story. That guy's one of my best friends now, like to this day. Like we talk pretty much every day.
I didn't have always the best relationship. Well, I mean, Bri was my only other number one. Sorry, but with other goalkeepers, I'll say.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm sorry, that came out. Like, yeah, Bri and I were the only number one, but at college I was number one. But like other goalkeepers in the mix and stuff like that, some of them just didn't handle things the way we handled it. But sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to kind of say, like, Devon, in your opinion, just, in your brief professional career, and obviously Saskia, you've got extensive experience with this, that locker room and that relationship with the rest of the team. What should that be as a second or third?
The locker room's private, Mike.
It was kind of a really like interesting change of dynamic for me, because in college, like as a starting goalkeeper, I would get into the locker room, literally do my stuff, get changed, have my headphones in, don't talk to me, don't come near me. and I'm sitting down in my locker, and I usually am like listening to like heavy metal or something like very aggressive.
Nice.
And I'm just like sitting there and I'm just going. And I watch like my videos. I always watch my videos to get pumped. I'm doing my stretches, whatever it is. And I'm very, very focused. And people really know, like, don't break that focus. Don't like distract me from that. And then it's like when you're a second goalkeeper, it's like you're just trying to get everybody else in the locker room like hyped and pumped, and also trying to like pump yourself up kind of, but you're just like, you're not in that headspace of the complete laser vision. You're trying to get that person and that person and that person all pumped up. If that person's a little bit quiet today and they're usually louder, it's like, okay, everybody, we're going to get pumped up. And then recognizing the other players on your team that don't like to be spoken to, don't like to like be messed with before games, like to just be in their bubble. So it's kind of like when you have that good relationship with your team and you know your teammates and you know what works for each one of them and what their like niches and like what they do before games, and just kind of playing off of that and making sure you're doing everything in your power to give them what they need, make the environment good for them, whatever it is, kind of, you're just always there, get yourself ready, but there to help. Like, Aubrey, what do you need? What do you need from me? Do you need this band here? Do you need this there? Like, what do you need? I will help you. Okay, you give me your towel and water bottle. It'll be ready for you at the bench when you're done your sprints before the game. Like, everything. Do you need me to hit some volleys at you? Like, I'm just ready to serve you, to make sure that you're ready for the game, because you doing well is going to serve me, because I want to win. So that's like the biggest thing. And that was the same for me in college. It was like, I had my goalkeepers, Jordan and Bailey, they would do the same thing for me. They'd be like, Dad, what do you need? Like, blah, blah, like, we'll give you blah. So it's just kind of like being there and understanding each other, and just reading the room almost, and what your job is. Obviously, we've spoke that your job is supposed to be to do everything you need to do once you get that opportunity to go in. But before that, your job is to get everybody on the team to be able to do their jobs. Like, you want everybody to be in a good headspace. So it's very important.
I think
Go ahead.
I'm sitting here like thinking back, like, obviously I was very social and vocal.
We're goalkeepers. We're goalkeepers. We're the weird ones.
I know. I was going to say
I
said the best thing you can do to raise team spirit is just dye your hair. That's I know it's hacky. It's hacky. Everyone brings it up.
I know.
The dogs got mad at me for bringing that up.
They did. They're like, enough, Mike. Hey, zip it. So, but Bri was always incredibly laser focused. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
So Bri was always incredibly intense, incredibly laser focused, and maybe seriously.
I love this. I absolutely love this. By the way, this is not an uncommon thing.
No, it's typical. Coco's usually up standing next to me. So Bri was incredibly intense, laser focused, like everything like that. And like I said, we connected. We just worked really, really well together. We had to have Bri on the show. Consider my sister and stuff like that. And we just pushed each other. We were never those ones in practice. Like when I train, I'm just zoned into training. And I'm like, neither one of us were like, oh, great way to pick up the volley. Like,
good catch. Great catch.
Yeah, we weren't like cheerleaders, but if you're pulling one out of the upper 90 or something great,
you're going to acknowledge it.
I'll like give a fifth, but nice way to kick ass, And so we always had that same intensity level, which is why we worked so well together. In the locker room, I might be wrong. I probably remember things differently. Again, Bri, incredibly laser focused, but I know there are multiple photos of me and stuff, but I was the same way. And so like my mentality, cause in college, like I was the same way, headphones on, I had my regiment and stuff like that. And with the national team, like I kind of had my regiment too. And like, I still was kind of like, I don't know if I have to go in this game in the first minute, and so like my mentality was like that. Well, now that being said, we could probably talk to multiple people that will disagree with that. And the reason I'm laughing is because like we used to dance in the locker room and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't recall dancing because I'm not a very good dancer, but like, I just know that I was I felt that I was focused. Maybe I wasn't, maybe it's just in my mind. But I think that your relationship with your team and stuff, it's individual. I'm not trying to be Bri. I'm just Saskia. And so like my relationship with Tish and everybody like that was totally different than her relationship was, whether that's on the field or off the field. But everybody knew that when we walked over those lines, we had the same mentality, and we were both like, totally
you're going to get the same thing. Yeah. No, that's so true. And it's like, every single goalkeeper, our relationships with every field player is different. Like you might get more of a serious version of somebody else based on whatever. Everything's just very different. And, being in the locker room, I get focused on the bus ride before, but then it's like, okay, when I'm in the locker room, I'm still focusing, but I'm just trying to get hyped or whatever it is. But same as you said, is like once I get over the line, and I'm going to be ready and have that mentality just in case that I am called upon. And like, that's all people really need to know, is that's at the end of the day, that's what you'll get from me. And that's all that really matters. So
and everybody does it differently. Period.
Yeah. And I want to bring up something for a lot of young keepers to hear out there, is that when, if you're not starting, that game day isn't for you. Like a lot of times I think one of the biggest problems that and I made this mistake, is that I thought it was my personal World Cup. I'm like, oh, well, I'm like, all right, he's gonna go start taking some goal kicks, and they want me in goal. Oh well, this is my time to shine in front of the 7 people.
You're like, this is it. He's not actually gonna start.
Let me show 90,000 people at the Rose Bowl that I should be starting instead.
But that was the thing. It's like as people are getting their hot dogs and they're sitting down, I'm acting like they actually care about what's going on in this shooting drill. Like that's the most ridiculous thing, but like that's where my mind was. I'm like, well, I'm like, oh, so and so, you're a U23 national team player. Like I'm gonna show that I can stop that guy, and then like I'm making the save or whatever.
Like, whoa, look at that Mike guy. He should be starting.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my parents aren't even watching. Like they're like
having a beer.
Exactly. It's so ridiculous. So it's like, it's your job to serve the team there, however the team needs you, whatever the coach asks you to do, whatever the number one asks you to do. Like if they want you to go, field flies from them hitting goal kicks, like that's what you go and do.
Absolutely.
No, literally the things like that I'm doing for obs, like I'm so just focused on making sure that, okay, this ball isn't in her peripheral line of view so that I could throw her off when she goes to make this one save during warm up. Like I'm going to make sure everything's out of the way. Everything's good for her, because, you want your starting goalkeeper to
be focused.
She wants to be focused. And if anything goes off and is wrong and stuff like that, and you start to see maybe she's kind of going down, you want to try to bring her back up as much as possible, because we can notice when the warm-ups aren't going like the way they normally do, and our job is to either you're going to let it just keep going downhill, or you're going to try to bring it back up and try to be like, no, it's fine, okay, next one we'll do another rep, like everything's good. And then they'll get that confidence back, and it's good, because it's like they can't just do it all on their own. Like it's not just a single thing. There's a team behind you trying to make sure that you're good. So I think that's really important.
I think you're so spot on. You got this, kid. I say that lovingly.
No, I love it. I love it. It really is, because people will be like, oh, when are you gonna play? It's tough, huh? It's like, yeah, it's tough, obviously, but if like I love it so much, so it outweighs how tough it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up here, and Devon, I know, you're in the middle of the fall series right now, and you guys have a few weeks left of that before a little bit of a break here. So thanks for taking the time. I think this has been really helpful to a lot of young keepers out there who might be going through a similar process, at different levels of the game. Before we go out, if anybody else wants to reach out to you, maybe they're a young keeper, maybe they're having similar situations, and they want to maybe have somebody they can talk to about that. Where's the best place in social media where they should connect with you?
Feel free. My Instagram, you can message me. I usually get younger kids and stuff messaging me there. It's at Devon Kerr, so DEVONKERR and then R. So Kerr. Kerr. Yeah, that's it.
Crazy Canadians.
we add letters, please. It's weird. It's weird up in the north. We don't know what's going on there.
You guys apparently have it better.
It's pretty put together, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, we love our Canadians. We've had Kaylin on, Steph LeBay, all those fun people.
Kaylin. I just saw her last weekend.
We
played
Karina
against
LeBlanc on.
Shout out to Kay.
We need Karina LeBlanc on. We need to get her on with her new baby and everything.
I did a camp with her a long time ago. She was great. When I was younger, I coached a camp, just me and her. It was not well organized, not by her. It was not well organized by the club that was doing it. She was so mad.
Karina's awesome. I've like, you know, I consider her one of my very good friends. It's always weird, you know, when somebody's like, oh, you know, I looked up at you when you were a player. It makes me feel very old.
It was terrible what happened to her with the whole baby situation. That was awful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
God. But she's doing great.
She's doing great now. That's awesome.
So, okay. So we're giving shout outs to Canadians.
We're giving shout outs to Canadians.
I can even sing the Canadian national anthem. So
hold on. Can I share this picture that just came up right now?
I played against you guys so many times. I'm like, oh, Canada.
Okay. Look at this picture that was just sent to us by Ian Mccaldon. Oh my gosh.
Ian sent it. Oh, he's so cute.
Love it.
I love that man.
Oh
love it. God. I hope he saw the video of the shot.
Yeah. Sam.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, you can reach out to Saskia Webber. Even guys, Billie Jean King is following her, so you should follow her too, right? Okay. At Saskia_Webber on Twitter and Instagram. Remember, contact at Inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.